So in this example, they want us to do three things. They give us a function, and it's a square root function this time. They want us to find the domain, graph the function, use the graph to determine the range. Okay, so part A, we want to find the domain. So you take the radicand, x plus 2. Because it's a square root, so the index is even, then the radicand has to be greater than or equal to 0. Subtract 2 from both sides, and you get x is greater than or equal to -2. So the domain is going to be square bracket from -2 to infinity. Okay, part B. Now they want us to graph the function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a table of values, x and f of x. I want to get some ordered pairs so I can graph those points. So I would plug in -2. That's allowed. So here's my domain, right? This is the domain. So anything bigger than, -2 or equal to -2. So I'd put in -2. Then I would look for numbers that work nicely. You don't have to. You can use a calculator to get some approximations. But if I put in -2, what happens? Well, I get f of -2 is going to be the square root of -2 plus 2, which that makes it the square root of 0, which is 0. Okay? So what else would work nicely? Maybe a -1 would work nicely. If I put in a -1, then I have the square root of -1 plus 2, which is the square root of 1, which is 1. You can write these all out. It's the square root of 1, and that's 1. Okay, so that one worked pretty nicely. Now, how did I come up with -1? Well, I was trying to think, what can I take the square root of? And I said, well, I can take the square root of 1, so if x were -1, then I'd have that situation. What else can I take the square root of? 4? Okay, so if I put a 2 in for x, that would give me f of 2 would equal the square root of 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, square root of 4 is 2. So I'm just kind of using numbers that I think are going to work out nicely. And then I'm going to do one more. So we just did the one that was the square root of 4. What about 9? 9 you can take the square root of. So what would I need x to be? So you're thinking in your mind, what would x have to be so I'd have the square root of 9? And did everybody say 7? So if I had f of 7, then I'd have the square root of 7 plus 2, which is the square root of 9, which is 3. Okay, and you could keep going, but I'm not going to. I just have a little teeny piece of graph paper here. But this, is a nice little table of values. Okay, so now we go over here to our graph and graph these ordered pairs. So -2, 0, and then -1, 1, and then 2, 2, and then 7, 3. And so it's going like this. Now, how do I know that it stops? How do I know that this is an end point? And it's because of your domain. You can't have a number, an x value less than -2. So you've got to stop right there at -2. That makes this a solid point, not an arrow, but a solid point there. Okay? And then it just keeps going off to the right in kind of that curved shape. All right, part C says, what is the range? Based on your graph, then, what is the range? So we know the x values. The x values have to go from -2 that way. But what about the range? The range is going to be from the lowest point, so right here, and then it's going up, okay? So this little arrow here says it keeps going up, not very fast, but it's going up. And so the range is going to be from 0, okay, because this line right here, this is where y equals 0, and then to infinity. Okay, so that's how we would do that one. We have another example of one like this, but hopefully that one works for you. Remember, there are more videos that you can access through the textbook as well. There's tons of videos all over the place online as well.